So change plans today. Turns out my capture card will not work with my PC. So instead, decided to do a little bit of painting just to get ready for a tournament coming up this weekend. So, and I had been mentioning for a while about wanting to do a night on stream, and I do have a couple Armigers to get done. So, going to try and do that. I'm hoping I can get an Armiger done in one stream. We'll see. I have one already partially started, but I didn't want to jump straight into like a half-finished project on stream, so I'm just gonna start the second one. This one doesn't have to be done for this weekend, but I would prefer it to be. So I'm gonna be doing a Helvrin, with the autocannon variant. Not really much to talk about. So what I finally started seeing the wisdom in painting my knights in pieces before doing the final assembly. So things are going to be a little scattered about, but in the end, I think this is the better way to do it. So let's just go ahead and get started here. Where are my brushes that I want? Here they are. So for this one, I'm going to be painting it in just typical Mechanicus red. So I already have my color scheme figured out. I did one Armiger previously in basically the same colors, so just going to be having this sitting off to the side as a reference. Start with some red here, and just sort of dig into it. I don't know how great this is going to be to watch, just because with everything being in smaller pieces, it's going to be a lot harder to not accidentally cover things up with my hands. Also, I'm probably going to be dropping things a lot because my hands shake too much. Also, my red and black contrast paints that are probably the ones I'll be needing the most for this have been thickening up pretty bad just because they're old and getting close to being empty. So hopefully I don't have to be messing around too much with fixing that. I have backup bottles, but as long as there's still paint in these, I would prefer to be able to use it. This is going pretty quick, at least. If I do somehow finish this up very quickly and have plenty of time left in stream, I will probably switch over to the Moirax that I have partially painted. But, like I said, I didn't want to jump into a half-finished project on stream, although it would have definitely been more interesting to paint the Forge World on stream rather than one of the standard Definitely. This paint is definitely giving me some problems. And I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do if, about, like, one thing I did on the other Mechanicus Armiger was I did the hazard stripes going up the sides. I'd kind of like to do something similar on this one, but I don't know. I can't really think of anywhere to put the stripes that is somewhere I haven't already done. And I could just repeat myself, but I don't know. Maybe this one I just don't do the stripes. Although they do look good. Worried too much about not being sloppy. This will be easier to correct the red where I don't want it than to try and be precise. Especially with the paint not spreading as smoothly as I would like. So, as best as I could tell, the issue with my capture card is just my old and failing PC. It, just from the quick reading I did through the manual for the capture card itself and everything, I guess the issue is just that I don't have any USB 3 ports. And there are ways around that, but I don't know that the, I don't know if I can get around that requirement without causing some, like, just issues with dropping the video quality and whatnot. So, my PC is due for an upgrade anyway. So, console games might just have to wait a bit longer until I finally get that done. And I got other stuff to play in the meantime on stream, just with kind of late notice. I mean, in fairness, I should have, like, hooked it up and done the testing before today, and then I would have had more time to figure out something else to stream, but of course, I might have just ended up doing this anyway, since I need to get this done for the weekend. Alright, got all that good enough for the moment. Oh, paint rubs off. My other arm. There it is. Four months. Thank you for the resub. Is always appreciated. Little bit of paint here. Yeah, this red especially, I really hate to open up a new bottle yet, because there's still probably a good, like, quarter of it left in here. Just getting too thick. I did try watering it down, but I'm always a little nervous doing that with contrast paints, because I don't know if that's gonna, like, mess with it too much. And I don't know if maybe, if I need to water those down, I don't know if I should be using, like, contrast medium instead of just water. Honestly, something I should have done some research into, but... at least it seems to mostly be doing the job. Now it's getting a little streaky. Or I guess not even streaky, it's like pooling up in places a little too much. Yeah, now it's getting a little too runny. Again, it would probably save me a lot of work. Just switch to a new bottle, but I hate to waste this much paint still left in it. Though I guess maybe it's not a waste if the paint itself ain't working right. Okay. Here's the red on both of the arms. Let's set that not on the paper towel so that anything is making contact, it won't necessarily smudge it as bad. Okay, what do we got left for the red? A few pieces here. Okay, let's do this first. Probably not even necessary to do the back side of this, but I usually do just in case any of it is visible from like a side angle. I really need to get some way of holding onto these little parts better, so that I'm not smudging it with my fingers. Not sure what that would be though. I did do a little bit of research on like how you're supposed to be using the contrast paints, and I am definitely doing things wrong. Like, I shouldn't be like brushing it on this aggressively, so that's definitely something that's not helping, but at this point I do kind of have to compensate for the fact that the paint is just getting old. Oh. Might just need to wait for this to dry before putting any more else on. Let's do another coat after it sits for a bit. Okay, not a ton of red that's done on here, just a bit. All right. To do. Bit of cleanup on the feet afterwards, but that's fine. Not that big a deal, and honestly, it's probably faster to just go over the whole thing with red and then just do details rather than... Oops. Knew I was going to do that. But, yeah. Hey, as I was saying, probably faster just to go over the whole thing with red and then fix the details rather than trying to be delicate with the red around it. That looks good. Pulling a little bit more than I'd like. Don't have to be perfect, like, you know, like, I am kind of rushing this, so it's not like I'm concerned about it being like expert paint job or nothing, but I'll try not to mess it up too bad. I need to be a little bit better about getting the excess out of here. Okay. Let me double check something on the other one. Yeah, I thought so. Okay. gotta do a few things on the back of it here. A little messy, but it's fine. I'll come back and clean it up later. I guess here it probably better just to switch to a smaller brush too. But yeah, here now. There we go. Now, shoulder pads. I've been deciding whether or not I wanted to do stripes on one shoulder, but I feel like that's going to go a little bit too close to one of the other Mechanicus themed knights I painted, so I think I'll just do red across the front side. Okay. That one looks good. Now, let's go back to this a little bit. I'm getting too much. It's getting too thick right here. This is turning out so much messier than I would have preferred, but again, I know I'm rushing it, so it's my own fault. Let's let that dry, see how it looks afterwards. Feeling I'm gonna need to go over at least part of it again. Actually, I can already see one part that's not gonna dry correctly. Alright. I just need to set it down. stop touching it. Do the front side of this. Try just leaving this flat on the wall here. There, that kind of works. Very streaky though. Better. Okay. Let that start drying. Okay, done with the red for the moment. Okay. That seems good. Where can I set you the paint won't smudge? Try that. know I'm gonna just tip this thing over. Okay. Back side of these shoulder plates. Little bit on this melt-a-gun here. Now, how did this dry? It's a little streaky, but when I do the wash, it'll turn out okay. If anything, it just makes the paint look a little bit grungier. Hey, Rubik. Sorry if I wasn't paying attention to chat for a minute there. Where was I? To get a little bit of black. Here, let's see if I can scrape that off. I know the red's going to scrape off too, but... There. I was going to have to fix that anyway. Alright, definitely going to need to do another coat of black on the shoulders, but that's fine. Now, what is next? Let's start doing a little bit of correcting. What am I painting today? I'm working on one of my Armigers for an upcoming tournament this weekend. Everything is in pieces at the moment, since I've found that's the more helpful way to paint my knights. So speaking of my paints getting dried out, this lead belcher is also getting kind of thick. up on that arm is already looking pretty decent. Put some water in this, because this is definitely way too thick.
Your boy sprightly, sprightly, sprightly,
Oh, bot. Sorry if I didn't see that right away. Goodbye. Yeah, this is into the sea, indeed. Alright, let's see if that helps at all. Yeah, the paint is definitely going on way too thick. The brush strokes are very easy to see. That's better. It's much better. Maybe a little too runny now, but this is still much easier to work with. Okay. Probably gonna have to do a little bit of cleanup with the red where I overcorrected, but again, that's usually how it goes. This brush is also starting to get to the end of its road here as well. Starting to fray a bit. Okay. That looks a good bit better. And have to re-correct some red, but that's okay. Oh my, yeah, the brush is really getting frayed out now. Might be about time for a new pack of brushes. Then a Night Armiger? Yep. Working on a Helvrin. I've got a one of the Forge World Moirax kits as well in progress, but as I was saying at the start of stream, I didn't want to start with a like half-finished a project that's already half-finished for stream. But if I do wrap this up quicker than expected, I might switch over to working on that. Have 16 knights. I'm not quite there, but I'm getting there. What do I have? Okay, I've got a Crusader, an Errant, a Lancer. Oh, what? I just recently kit bashed a Megara, because good luck getting Forge World kits. Got a Castellan. I've got a one kit bashed Megara and one legit one. Or not Megara, Moirax. About 3 Helvrins, 2 Warglaves. And I have a Castigator and a Acheron that I need to get around to finishing as well, but they still need to be assembled. Time for Gaius to chew the scenery doing Mentor Roulette. I mean, getting an MSQ dungeon is not the worst thing you could get in Mental Roulette. I'd gladly take that over an EX. It does actually. You saying that it does occur to me that could be a fun like proxy project of use the Ultima weapon as a proxy for Canis Rex and try to somehow get a miniature for like Gaius as the pilot. Granted, 3D printing a Ultima weapon mini on the scale of a knight would be not cheap. So, you know, there's probably multiple reasons that wouldn't be a practical project, but it'd be cool. Okay. I think that's the bulk of the cleanup. A little bit more and around the barrel here. Okay. I have to do anything around the barrel on this one? Yes, I did. Okay. Now, what is next? Suppose do a little bit of cleanup here. Okay. Check something. Okay. Alright. Well, that is most of that. I guess I do have to do cleanup on the main body, but before I do, let's go back to the red a little bit. Fix some of these places that I overcorrected. Okay, that's good. Yeah. I am seeing places I'm gonna have to fix more on this, but for the time being, let's just move on. Okay, fix this big spot here. Alright, back to Lead Belcher. Oh, although it occurs to me I didn't do all of the feet. Let's do this first. This is definitely a lot easier to do when I don't have all the armor plates on. I really wish I had done my earlier nights this way. Honestly, I wonder if I should even stop putting them on the base until after I paint them. Make getting the feet easier. Actually, on the subject of the knights, I still have to put together the, oh, which one is it? I said it earlier. The one that has the flamer and chainsword. One of the, not the Atropos, what's the... Oh, I'm blanking on the name. Either way, I do have a fun project with that one in mind, which is part of why it's not assembled yet. I've been wanting to do a Sororitas-themed knight, and I'm just kind of stalling on putting it together until I can get some spare parts from maybe some of the, like, rhinos or immolators and whatnot, and just really go ham with making it as ludicrous as possible. I'd love to do the thing with the, like, the torches on top of the exhaust pipes, like their, other vehicles have, but unfortunately, the, the Cerastus Knights exhausts don't really fit that, so... Like, they're more of a solid piece rather than having like the individual exhaust pipes. Might still try to find some way to make that idea work though. Maybe even find some way to take one of the stained glass windows from the immolator and fit it onto the cockpit somehow. I don't think it would be a clean bit, but maybe I could do something fun with it. Someday, I would also really like to get one of the Castus Knights. I don't know how good they actually are. Like, they definitely seem very powerful, but they're also both very expensive to buy and very expensive to run, and I don't know if they're worth it. It'd still be cool to paint one, though. Also, now that I have finally gotten started on building Imperial Guard, I, of course, being a fan of knights, one of the very first things I got for them was a Baneblade. So that is going to be a lot of fun to paint. I would like to do that on stream, I just don't know if I could finish it in one sitting. I mean, maybe, because, like, it's going to be one solid color, and the primer is going to do a lot of work. So, I could finish it in one stream, maybe. I guess I wouldn't have to. I just don't like leaving something unfinished for days at a time, but I could just split it into 2 streams and do it that way, because it would be a fun stream project. Okay. Yeah, I definitely should have just switched to a smaller brush. That would have been less work than all the corrections I gotta do because of it. Oh well. Okay. On these events now. Okay. Top part's looking a lot better. Now, let's fix this. Which unfortunately, well, in a lot of places I'm gonna have to fix the red as well, but what can you do? It's like this one wasn't so bad on front, but okay, go back to my red. Just a little bit along the edges here. Oh, just noticed a big spot that I missed the first time. Yeah. Okay. That is, most part, the red and the lead belcher done. Although, I guess there's not really any point in waiting to go back and do all the rivets. I could just go ahead and start doing that now. So I just remembered there was one foot here that I overcorrected the red a bit. Fix that. That's more than 1 foot. Also a few places I need to correct the lead belcher as well. Okay. Let's get a little bit of water. There. done. Okay. I guess I never did correct, did I? Okay. Hey, working on Armigers. Looks like Blood and Jordan. I mean, I believe that is the red. That is this is the same red used for Blood Angels as well, but doing a Mechanicus theme. Oh, and thank you for the gift sub. Heck. Sorry I wasn't paying attention to chat. Mechanicus makes more sense. Yeah, I have one Armiger painted in Mechanicus colors already, but I feel like I never see the autocannon Armigers in Mechanicus colors, so just felt like doing one just to kind of fill that little niche. Okay. Was hoping for another no logic randomizer. I mean, I'm gonna have to figure out something to do on Sunday as well, so that might be on the table. Because if you missed the beginning of stream, unfortunately, my PC is just too old for my capture card. So, until I get it upgraded, console games are sadly not going to be an option for a little bit longer. And this was sort of a last minute, like, well, I need to figure out something else to stream, and I also have to get this stuff done for a tournament this weekend, so just kind of two birds with one stone here. But Sunday I will also need, I'm back to streaming on Sundays again, so, and I'll need something to do then, so yeah, I could do another No Logic Rando. That was fun. And eventually I am going to, honestly I'm surprised it didn't happen last time, of getting a seed where it's not technically beatable, so then I might have to be forced to learn some new tricks in order to beat the seed. Not sure how that'll go, but it'll be interesting. Okay, that's that one. Hey, Mamo. Gotta remember I need to come back to this piece and do the red along the sides. Yeah, I feel you there. I have been dealing with some teeth problems as well. Granted, most of the problems are being caused by, like, sinus issues causing the pressure pushing on them, but, yeah, I feel your pain. Ah, whoops. Just didn't mess anything up there. Just gotta do this one now. Okay, I think this is the last piece. I have to do the little rivets on. Well, I hope you get. I hope that works. I really hate dealing with tooth stuff, so I hope you do not have to endure that much longer. Doesn't hurt anything, at least. Oh, that's good. So, what even is this? 40k? Yeah, I am working on one of my smaller nights for a tournament coming up this weekend, and need to get it done by Friday. So I figured, since I was looking for something to stream anyway, this seemed like a good way to get some work done at the same time. I'm doing it in pieces because you can see the like here is the actual like frame of it. I'm doing it in pieces because it's a little bit easier to get some of the individual panels and whatnot done separately. Also makes some of the details on the main body easier to do as well when there's not a bunch of stuff making it like awkward to get the brush in there. Okay. That's looking good. Chicken legs, yeah. It does look, they do look a little bit less skinny once you get the actual panels on properly, but yeah, you're not wrong. Actually, here is an example of what it'll roughly look like when I'm done with it. Different weapon setup, but same frame and panels and whatnot. Alright, where was I? Right. Lead Belcher and red is all done. Well, not quite. Now it's done. Alright, let's move off my... Hold on. I assume for, yeah, I assume it's just for emote spam. I'll have to dig into my auto mod settings and see if there's like a limit on how many emotes you can post at once. I don't feel like that's particularly necessary. My chat's not usually that active, so it's not like it's something I would really need to have turned on. Okay, let's finally move off of the contrast and metallic paints. Oh my, that's getting dried up. Desert Bus mod never do more than 7 anyway. Yeah, fair. Yeah, again, that's not really a setting I even really need, though. So I need to just take a look at the auto mod and see what it is doing. I think that is the first post on my channel that has even been caught by auto mod, so... Question, why would Terminators ride in a transport when they can deep strike? I mean, I'm not the right person to ask about that, like, strategy-wise. My assumption is that, like, you just may not... Because, like, one of the limitations with Deep Strike is they can't enter the battlefield until the second round. So, if you want to be able to throw them in... So, like, you may want to, like, throw them in a transport to, like, drive them up into the middle of the battlefield right away on turn 1 and then get them out. Or just the fact that, like, having them in a transport just kind of keeps them as, like, safe like, from being targeted right away. I don't know, again, I'm not the right person to ask there. Like, strategy-wise, I could never tell you when is the right and wrong situations for using transports and deep strike and all that, but, I assume there would be, like, practical uses for it, though. Is there a risk to deep strike? Yes and no. It's just sort of like, when something comes in from deep strike, it also can't move, like, it arriving in Deep Strike is its movement for that turn. So, and obviously you're limited in where you can set up, like as far as how close you can be. So, because since you have to be minimum 9 inches away, it makes doing charges on the same turn that a model arrives in Deep Strike a little challenging. Not impossible, but having to roll at least a 9 on your charge roll is worse than, like, not great odds. Not terrible, but also just you're more likely to fail than succeed. And again, the other downside of, like, you can't have anything enter from Deep Strike until round 2. Like the music? Yeah, I do as well. I believe most of the music is... Oh, what is the name of game through a label called Game Chops, which just does a lot of, like, just sort of... It's from just it's a sort of collection of a bunch of artists that just do, like, lo-fi game remixes. And the big thing is that they are stream friendly as far as, like, they don't do copyright strikes and whatnot, so makes real good background music for doing this. Remember where your Calexis and Everstone melee my Poxwalkers and chose not to fight? Maybe. Honestly, I don't remember the situation of that game well enough, unfortunately. Possibly, because I do remember. I remember one of them being caught up in melee and unable to do what I wanted them to because of it. But I don't remember if that would have changed anything. My thinking was that, yeah, bound up collect. I mean, yeah, that is a valid strategy of, like, even if you don't think you're going to kill something in melee, just getting it tied up in melee is can be an effective way of limiting it. Like, I feel that with my knights even more than other factions, because to get out of melee means I can't shoot, and losing out on all of the shooting attacks of a full Imperial Knight is such a heavy penalty. Like, that is so many attacks that you're losing in order to get out of melee. So, like, I know the armies I have struggled the most against with my knights have been other, like, very melee heavy factions, like Tyranids and World Eaters. Because knights can still fire while they're in melee, but they can't. Obviously, they can't charge because they're already in melee, and it does kind of put them on the back foot in that regard, because melee is also where they're the most vulnerable. And yeah, like non-vehicles as well, like binding up the assassins in melee and making sure that they can't go off and do their thing, or even just, like, get to cover, is a pretty good way of dealing with them. Okay, that's all the hoses on the legs. Start getting these joints here. One unexpected benefit going into this tournament is they Games Workshop just put out a balance update, like I think today, and there weren't many changes for knights, but the cost of my Crusader got dropped by like 10 points, which does help me kind of put some more enhancements on, so that'll be nice. Okay, got the hoses on that side. Yeah, this is definitely the part where painting it in pieces makes it much easier. Because it is visible even with all the parts on, but much harder to get the brush down under here. Okay. Start getting the Mechanicus emblem here. What is your loadout for this tournament? So I'm running 4 big knights, 2 little knights, and 1 unit sort of floating from the Imperial Agents. I don't know exactly what that's going to be yet, but for my big knights, I'm running Canis Rex, a Crusader, a Megara that I've kit bashed, which is one of the like Forge World resin models that that's both too expensive and too unavailable to actually get a legit one, so I've just kind of built my own. And a Lancer, which honestly, the first couple times I played my Knight Lancer, I was not super impressed with it, but it has since proven itself over and over again. And for my Armigers, I'm running one Helvrin with autocannons and a Moirax, which is, again, one of the Forge World ones with a pair of lightning locks, which are pretty good at dealing with, like, anti-infantry type stuff. Have amphibious units. I would actually, joking aside, it would almost not be worth the rules complications of it, but I would not be opposed to some type of water mechanics. Again, it would probably add a very much unneeded layer of complexity to things, but it could be neat. And then, with everything I've mentioned, I have like a little over 100 points floating that I was previously using for a Sister of Battle squad to just kind of run around and complete objectives. But being honest, I've not had fantastic luck with them. Like, they tend to just kind of get bogged down, like, near my deployment zone, and they never really make it to a second objective. So instead, I'm gonna try bringing one of my Imperial Assassins with me and see if they can basically do the same role, but without getting attacked so much. I wanted to bring my Eversur because they are so fun to just kind of throw at an infantry unit that you don't want to deal with. But sadly, in practice, at least running them alongside my knights, because they are kind of they're a pretty vulnerable target next to my knights, so they kind of just tend to get shot by everything that's not anti-vehicle. So they don't last like long enough to really do anything of merit. So I'm thinking of running a Calidus instead, since they can kind of go in and out of Deep Strike repeatedly throughout the game, and then I don't have to worry about them getting like caught out alone and shot before they can really accomplish anything. Alright, so that is the Mechanicus emblem done. Probably not even visible. Oh yeah. Got a little sloppy with it, but I think it looks okay. They don't get loan up. So they do. All the assassins have loan up, but because the Eversur has to do, like, can only really accomplish anything useful in melee, they're going to be within 12 inches of most things that can shoot them. And with only 4 wounds, they're just, again, they're too vulnerable of a target if, like, playing knights, everything my opponent has that is not anti-vehicle, like bolt guns or las guns or whatever, like basic infantry, like anti-infantry stuff they have, is going to be much more effective at just trying to take out this assassin than, like, just chipping away at a knight. So they're just a little too vulnerable even with loan op. Like, the Calidus won't be much better at staying away from things, but it's still like 20 points cheaper. And the fact that it can kind of move itself around the board way easier makes me think it'll be better for just doing various objective shenanigans. Alright. Moving on to some silver here, finally. And again, I could be completely wrong with how I'm looking at it. Like, part of my difficulty in getting much use out of them is almost certainly just my own playstyle to blame. So I do tend to get a little too aggressive when it comes to, like, making combat happen and not focusing nearly as much as I should be on objectives. So I'm willing to take my own share of the blame for that. Use a sword to defend your home objective. Yeah, thing is like, it's not really worth it, because if my opponent has anything that they're going to deep strike, it's going to be something like Terminators or like something of that nature that the Battle Sisters just will not stand a chance against. And something I've also kind of come to realize, like, a much better option is the detachment I tend to run with my knights anyway has a stratagem that lets me sticky an objective with a big knight. That still like has an OC of 5 on it even when I'm not there. So depending on the unit that my opponent would try to deep strike in, they may not even be able to take it from me in the first place. And because what I can do is I can just stick Canis Rex on my home objective at the start of the game, which he has the ability that lets him basically use a 1 CP stratagem for free once per turn, so I can just... the odds of him needing it in combat on turn 1 are pretty low, so I can just basically sticky the my home objective with Canis Rex for free. And then if it does look like my opponent is going to try and do something to my home objective, like, I can always just have one of my big knights turn around. My Crusader doesn't really tend to get very far from my home objective anyway, since it's like best, like, it only gets its best ability if it doesn't move on my turn, so I tend to just kind of stick it someplace with good line of sight early on, just leave it there. So odds are it'll have some sort of line of sight to my home objective regardless. Yeah, I like, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure the sword thrusts are worth using alongside knights. I just don't think the way I play they are that beneficial to me. Like, I am not good enough at making use of, like, spreading my units around, and I definitely get too focused on combat and not enough on, like, strategically planning out, like, going for objectives and whatnot. It also doesn't help that I originally equipped them with flamers to just sort of fill like an anti-infantry role, because I didn't really see them taking on anything bigger. And every single game I have played them in, they get like up against a vehicle or something that just like they can't do anything about. So I might need to get another squad of them in the future with like Meltas or something, and that they might have better luck like being able to do things. drop that. Just gonna let the backside of that dry. Start doing this one. Deathwatch probably wouldn't fare any better at the home objective against things that can deep strike. Maybe, I'm not sure. Like, Deathwatch at least gets some, like, stronger weapons. And they are Space Marines, so they're all, like, you know, still a bit more durable. I do think you're right. I don't know how helpful they would really be at, like, sticking on my home objective. I think if I equip them more intentionally to be defensive, like have two with shields just for the purpose of like kind of tanking a little bit. Like, I think I could make the Deathwatch work a lot better, but I'm not, without actually like putting them into practice. I don't know how much more effective they would honestly be. What I need is I need to get a proper, I need to like build a proper Deathwatch squad for regular 40k and not just my repurposed kill team. Because I would not equip them the same way that I did for that. And I'm very disappointed that the new Deathwatch kill team is super restricted in its loadout. Like, I might use the models from it, but I will probably build them using the stats of the older version. Though, I'll be amazed if the older one stays around next edition, so I don't know how practical that's going to be. Unless they do release a new Deathwatch Veterans box, but like the old one isn't even available anymore, so not sure what their plan is. Granted, if you told me that they didn't have a plan for anything involving Imperial agents, I would believe you. That definitely seems to be the faction that gets forgotten. Though I guess in all fairness, it is just kind of a faction for, like, stuff that doesn't have a home elsewhere. Still, it'd be nice to see a little bit more support for them. Okay. One thing I could look at picking up is some Grey Knight Terminators, which can be run as Imperial agents. So I could run them alongside my Knights. From my understanding, they're not as good as regular Terminators, but Um, it would still be a pretty durable infantry unit to have. Only problem is they're like 200 points, maybe a little bit more, which is like more expensive than just running another Armiger. So I don't know how practical, like, I don't know if that would be worth running or if I should just throw another Armiger in instead for like, I don't know, roughly like 60 points less. Yeah, it's, and that's for a 5-man squad, not 10. It's a lot. Granted, I assume the cost is just because like it's a Terminator squad you can run in non-Space Marine armies, right? Like being able to throw a Terminator squad in like on like say Imperial Guard is like I imagine quite good. Which again I assume is where the point cost is coming from. Actually, I should look them up and see how expensive Grey Knight Terminators are to run in their own army versus agents. But like, there's like some other stuff too. It's like I wish like there was a little bit more variety of stuff from other factions in Imperial Agents. Like, I like that we get the Sisters of Battle, Grey Knight Terminators, and the Deathwatch squads. But like, it would be nice if you could also just run like a Guardsman squad or heck, like let people run like Sisters of Silence as Imperial Agents. It honestly wouldn't make any less sense than running them with Custodes. Slightly off topic, you ever decide to do with the Baneblade paint? Yeah, right now, unless I think of something else, I'm just gonna do like a desert tan for like the bulk of the body, and just then like, you know, metallic for like some of the accents and smaller bits. I have, like, I'm not a big camo fan, so I don't know that I want to do, like, an actual, like, camo pattern on it. Also, to me, it's just also one of those things of, like, something on the side, like, on the scale of a Baneblade, putting a camouflage of any kind on it seems like, what's the point? Like, on that scale, I can't imagine camo would actually help. But yeah, if that is the color scheme I decide to go with, I've already picked up some tan primer, which will thankfully do a lot of the main work on it. So that might make it a more practical thing to try to do on stream. If it's not gonna take like 3 days to paint. Okay, that's the shoulder pads done. Honestly, it doesn't look done, but I am getting through this at a somewhat decent pace here. I might finish this in time for like before stream's over. I won't be doing decals on stream because I have to go through my decals and decide exactly what I'm even going to be putting on it. So, and I haven't done that yet. So, won't be doing that tonight. But can at least do all the painting, do the wash, maybe even the base if I have enough time left over. it'll hopefully be like more or less complete by the end of stream. Although, back on the subject of talking about Imperial agents, despite how expensive they are, I think I will still pick up some Grey Knight Terminators at some point, because it is fun running Imperial agents as, just themselves, rather than tacked onto another faction. And, it would be kind of fun to show up to a tournament with them, if for no other reason than to have everybody be confused with what the heck I brought. Granted, I don't think that would be good, and I don't think it would get me anywhere, but it could be funny. And the Assassinorum detachment does, like, what little bit I've got to play with does seem legitimately quite fun. Good. Gonna let that dry before I do the bottom. That dry before I turn it around and get the other side. Hatsune Miku Baneblade.
You know what? I don't think I even need to do that. I'm sure someone else already has. It would really not surprise me if someone else has.
That does remind me, though, there is a artist out there that does 3D models for Warhammer proxies of, like, non-Warhammer characters, and they did make a Hatsune Miku Necron, which is amazing, if you have not seen this. Oops. Literally the first thing that came up when I googled Hatsune Miku Baneblade. I knew I was going to drop something eventually. Surprised it took this long. It still looks okay, thankfully. Okay. Almost done with the silver. Just gotta do a little bit more. The plates for the ankles here. half dry. Alright. That half dry. Back to this one. Oops. Getting too much paint on my hand, and now I'm starting to just smudge things. Okay, I messed that up a little bit, but it's fine, I can fix it. Okay. I believe that's all the silver done. At least until I mess something up and have to fix it. Oh wait, I also just missed a big spot on that. There we go. Now I'm done with the silver. Okay, first up, let's see if putting some red on there will fix that smudge, or if the silver will be too bright. I'll need some lead belcher. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do lead belcher first and then come back to it. Okay. It also spots there, which I need to fix. Perfect. Okay. Now, oh, right. One thing I didn't know is that. Okay, so before we do that, some red here. Some of these wires. The red on that done. Now, start getting some of these various wires.
looks good. Okay. Just those two. There. Yeah, what the heck? I'll just those like copper, but yeah. Let's do them all red just for consistency's sake. Alright. All the wires on the torso are done. There we go. Now on to copper. Oh, I really did not get very good coverage with the primer on this. Okay, that will do. Do the silver around the edge there a little bit better. Be hard to fix though. Okay. Okay. That looks pretty good. You know what? There's another thing on this side. Let's do that. Better? Yeah. Sure, I've asked you before, you more of a sequel? I assume you're talking about Star Wars? I mean, that's kind of a tough question, honestly. Like again, assuming you're talking about Star Wars. I hold
fast to my opinion that the sequel trilogy gets way more hate than is deserved.
They are flawed movies, don't get me wrong. They have a lot of problems, but I think there is a lot of unnecessary hate towards them. And also, let's not, as I enjoy the original trilogy quite a bit, as well as the prequel trilogy, but let's not, like, pretend like George Lucas was infallible here. Like, I don't know, as far as which ones I would say I like best,
It really is honestly a tough call. Like, I was a kid when the prequel trilogy was coming out, so I have a lot of nostalgia for those films. Again, despite the fact that they're very heavily flawed. I would not, and again, and even though I will always defend the sequel trilogy, I will not go so far as to say that I think they're the best. I think they have their problems and whatnot as well, but I don't know.
Still salty about Disney stealing our move. Look, at least we got an official visual representation of the plan we tried to go through with. Like, I don't know what else. I don't know what more we could have asked for there. But honestly, if I were to just go purely on which movies I would have the most fun rewatching, it would probably be the prequels. Again, that's like almost entirely in this probably nostalgia's part to blame, because as I said, I was a kid when those were coming out. I was very into Star Wars, like
again, that was like the perfect time. Oh, so for context, a while back, we were doing a Star Wars Edge of the Empire campaign, which is sort of like basically like think it's D&D but Star Wars basically. Not exactly, like it has its own rules and whatnot. And we attempted the trick of having we boarded an enemy Star Destroyer and basically tried to get it to jump straight into another Star Destroyer, and our plan failed. The DM did not let us get away with it.
Jump ahead to today, in one of the sequel movies, a rebel ship basically does the same maneuver of jumping to hyperspace into a massive Star Destroyer. And honestly, I'm just happy we get a visual spectacle of what that would have looked like had we succeeded. I think I'm going to want to put some lead belcher back on these somewhere, but now just covering them is probably fine. I guess also back onto the topic of the Star Wars movies. Episode 1 gave us the pod racer game, and I can find no fault in that. Like,
Oh, our session was well before the movie. That was like almost 10 years ago, I think. Yeah, it is worth mentioning. We entered the Star Destroyer that we hijacked by blowing up the window of the bridge and going in that way rather than like docking. That was a very fun campaign. It'll be 10 years sometime next year. Okay, yeah, I figured it was about that long ago. But yeah, no, seriously, what I was saying before, the Star Wars Pod Racer game, again, for that alone, Episode 1 has a lot of its sins forgiven. I might even play that on stream one of these days, honestly. Like it probably wouldn't be worth playing for longer than one stream, but just as a fun nostalgia trip, it might be worth it. And I have it on PC, but it's not... It's a very old... Yeah, that 64 pod racing game was amazing. Yeah, that is exactly the one I'm talking about. I have it on PC as well, however, it is a very old PC game, and it doesn't run great on newer systems. I think, however, I do have it on my Switch as well. And it'll probably be a lot more stable running on that. So once my capture card is finally like up and running, I might have to do a stream about it, or a stream with it. About a year before The Last Jedi, we always joke that, oh yeah. But I actually, I also have the PS2 pod racer game as well, which is different. It's similar, but it is a different game. But that might be a fun stream of just kind of playing those back to back. Again, probably not any longer than like one stream each, but just as like a fun throwback. And there is... I forget the name of it. There is an indie game currently under development that I think is supposed to be going into early access sometime in the near future that is definitely very inspired by the pod racing games. And that, I think there is a demo available for it. That might be fun to check out after playing Pod Racer. Just to see, like a comparison. I want a Pod Racer game in VR. That sounds like a very good way for me to get motion sick. It would probably be cool, but I think I would get nauseous, honestly. I don't have a lot of like motion sickness issues with games, but there are certain things that can set it off for me, and I have a feeling that would be one of them. Yeah, now I'm thinking about old Star Wars games, and man, I kind of wish I had an easy way to go back and play Rogue Squadron. I think the first one might have gotten a remaster not too long ago, but
that's not the one. I don't even remember which one it was I had. All I remember is it was on the GameCube, and I could consistently crash my GameCube with it if I played the right map and ship combinations. It was a repeatable bug. I play too many racing games and flight sims to get sick anymore. Yeah, that's fair. I just, there are very specific things that will set off motion sickness for me, like whether I'm used to it or not. And, I have a pretty strong feeling that Pod Racer would be one of them if it was in VR. Okay. There's a couple spots I missed there. Oh, by the way, now that you have a printer and paint where where the F is Enzo, I mean, one, I don't have that 3D model anymore, unfortunately. And even if I did, I very highly doubt that it would be like printer friend, like that it would be able to be printed well at all. But maybe that is something in the future that I could look at trying to do. I mean, there are enough Star Wars like tabletop like strategy games and whatnot now that I am tempted to see what miniatures are out there for like a Lambda shuttle to paint in our colors. Yeah, I basically human centipeded a bunch of battle droids into a horrible monster that the DM never did stat. If I recall, the agreement was he didn't have to come up with stats for it, and we could just handwave the fact that no one would ever be able to steal our ship if we left it behind to guard it. That was a very fun campaign. May still have the model. I could take a look at it and see if the printer could do something with it. I'm honestly not optimistic because, like, any sort of like holes in the geometry and whatnot will mess up a print like that, and because that model was a very hastily put together thing to just throw in tabletop sim, like taken from models ripped straight from like video games, I really doubt that it's sealed up properly. Again, I could always try, but I'm just not, I am not optimistic. Should be cloud save and tabletop sim, so in theory it's still there. Yeah, well, okay, so the problem is with tabletop sim is at least the way it used to work for that kind of stuff, it might just be a custom object that is linking to a what like the actual model is like on a Google Drive, and I doubt that I still have that. Or wait, no, I don't even think it was Google Drive. I think it was a Dropbox, which I almost assuredly don't have anymore. So it's I'm not sure if the actual like assets themselves would be there. Gonna go off limb and say Winston is in the same state. Yeah, that honestly, if I wanted to make a miniature for Winston, it would be easier to probably just find an official miniature for that, whatever the name of that droid was, and like just kit bash some parts. I don't know where I'd get the top hat, but the rest of it would probably be fairly easy to do. Okay. Magna Guard, yes, thank you. All I could think of was Bodyguard, and I knew that wasn't correct. Okay, I believe that is all of the copper done. Wait, did I miss? Yep, of course I did miss it.
Now, what is next? I think I need to go back to my black here, because I did notice there were a few hoses that I didn't do correctly.
Or rather, I just didn't get the other side of them.
Alright, what's going on here? There we go. Get here. Okay, now for the couple hoses here on the head.
Just a cage of bones, there's nothing inside. Will it always be burning down the walls? Is there a way for me to break free? I'm a shapeshifter, echoes masquerade, hiding both face and mind, all free for you to draw.
No, and oh, it saved us both. Yeah, no,
And it was N0.
because it was supposed to spell out nope. Okay, there's the head mostly done. What's left? I think this actually might be about done. Go. Alright, I think, other than the windshield here... Also, it is an OBJ file? Okay, I might be able to work with that, but again, that might mean that the model itself is still there, but again, my concern is just that it might not be properly like sealed up and whatnot, because it was never made for anything other than just a quick import into tabletop sim. Again, I can still check it out. Maybe if I'm lucky it will be salvageable. Okay. Let that dry here. That dry. I think you have most of the models from our games. Okay. Eyes done. The windshield didn't really get great coverage, did it? I'm gonna have to put one more coat on there. There we go. That looks better. Okay. Now, I believe that is pretty much everything. Oh, right. No, that's right. That's right. Needed to... Okay. Okay, just a couple extra things to do here before I move on to the wash. So first, a little bit of my dark blue shade here. Bit on the edge of the Melta barrel. Pile it up a little bit so it's visible. Now get my purple. Do the same, but going backwards. Kind of blend them in the middle. There. Don't know how visible that'll be on stream, but sort of gives it that nice, like, sort of heat warping effect. Now, in kind of the same vein here, let's get some black. Get it thinned out a little bit here. And let's just dry brush a teeny bit onto the tips of the autocannons. A little bit of muzzle burn. Don't know how much that's even showing up on stream, but a little bit more. Too much, but there. Okay, now I think it's pretty much everything, and it's gonna be ready for the wash. So I'm going to go change out my paint water, which, looking at it, I probably should have done that a while ago. And I'll be right back. Okay. Now, oil's getting a little low. You know what? I'm gonna set that bottle aside and just use that for when I put a coat on top of decals, and we'll open a new one. Shake it up real good here. Okay. Start this. Might be putting it on a little heavy, but Mechanicus stuff coming out looking a little grungy is honestly pretty okay looking anyway. So, that being said, I think, oops, well, that wasn't great. I think probably better just to let that sit here and do it that way. But yeah, that was way too much. Okay. Yeah. They didn't smudge that too bad by picking it up. DM the OBJ and link in Discord. Alright, yeah, like I said, I will check that out when I get the time, and see if it is even practical to try to print with it, but it probably won't be something I get to for a while, but I could at least get the OBJ files stored away somewhere. Where can I put you that you won't smudge? It's just that, I guess. Okay, now just the main body left. If it works, absolutely have to stream it. Oh yeah, I would absolutely do that. Oh shoot.
I'm realizing I missed a bunch of silver here. Well, I'll finish doing the wash, and then I'll go back and do the silver I missed. And I'll just have to do one more small wash over the silver again. Oh well. That's just the kind of thing that's going to happen when I'm trying to talk and do this at the same time. Alright. Head here. These out of the way here. Alright, now let's briefly back to the silver. Which brush am I looking for here? This one, I think. Alright, that brush isn't gonna work. I'm gonna have to use the small one.
Okay. Is that? Now just need to get these edges around the feet that I forgot to do. All right. That's better. Okay. Well, let's get over here. Just enough null oil left on my palette to over fresh silver. All right. They're not perfect. Again, this was kind of a rush job, but I'm still more or less satisfied with it. And now this will be done, and I can focus what time I got left tomorrow to finish up the Moirax. Okay. So like I said, I'm not going to be doing decals tonight because I still have to figure out exactly what decals I'm going to put on it. So I don't really feel like fishing that out. We also only got about 20 minutes left anyway. So what we'll do instead is let's get this properly assembled. Normally I would do the decals first before assembly, but I want to end stream with a more complete looking model. This will mess with the paint a little bit. Actually, wait, hold on. Yeah, better to do that one. That's okay, since all the points of contact where I'm putting the glue shouldn't be visible anyway. Okay, so far so good. I never did go along the edge of this with the red. I'll have to do that afterwards. Okay. Got all that. Let's get these arms on. Yeah. Oh, I guess I never did do the underside of that. Darn. Oh well. Oh well, not the end of the world. It won't even be visible on the table anyway. Or well, barely. Okay. That one. And there we go. Honestly, overall, I think it turned out pretty good. Rushed mistakes aside. Like I said, still got to do decals and the base, but I am pretty satisfied. Alright, well, I would only be going for another 15 minutes anyway, so I think this is about perfect time to wrap things up. Let me see. Is there anyone to raid tonight? I think I'm just gonna go ahead and let y'all go. Thanks everyone for hanging out, and yeah, I'll be back Sunday. Yeah, since it was suggested earlier, maybe Sunday we'll do another no logic rando. See if my luck continues and I keep getting easy seeds. I doubt it, but who knows? Anyway, again, thanks for hanging out. Have a good night, everyone.